My name is Kim. I am almost 28 years old, and I experienced child poverty from a sudden life loss, and my dad being a single dad, becoming a single dad, and then having to live on income support. And when he did work, he retired when he was in his late 60s to try and provide for I guess himself or our family. And then when he retired, he was back on income support, and that meant that I experienced financial stress from a very young age and right throughout my adolescence. So that impacted me going through school, how I would hang out with friends, and always being conscious of I didn't want to make our situation worse by asking money for just having an allowance to, I guess, be a kid, be a young adult growing up. And there was quite a lot of FTV and psych abuse going on at the time as well, when I had my, I call her my stepmom at the time, due to a lot of unresolved trauma and poverty that she experienced in the Philippines. So that transferred to myself and my dad. And when I was 20 years old, he passed away due to long-term health conditions, and that meant I was, house surfing for 3 or 4 years, from the ages of 20 to about 24. I moved over 6 times through friends' houses. I was 7 years old, and suddenly passed away. And we went from being a kind of, middle class family living in a low social economic area to being, thrust into poverty and very much financial distress due to paying for a funeral. And at the time, my dad had to upkeep a small business. That was very stressful. He didn't last with that very long, because that was supposed to be his retirement plan with my mum. And when he did sell, he went into a big depression. So he stopped working for a couple of years, and that was when he was on income support. I don't have a lot of memories of the time because I probably suppressed it. I do have a few. Just always being conscious of pension day, like when pension day was coming and how much money he had in his wallet, and me being like a normal kid asking for kids' meals from various food joints, and him saying he couldn't afford it because he'd literally open his wallet and say, I don't have enough. I'd only have $20 to last a week. So I became very aware that I couldn't ask for a lot because there was a lot of competing bills, and just trying to keep a roof over our head, paying our mortgage and all the other things. It was sort of strained. I was, just because I didn't understand what was going on, I felt sad and angry, like, why can't we afford things? Why is everything such a struggle? And like, there are times where I had to go to school without my uniform on because we couldn't do laundry a lot because obviously that meant using power. And like, obviously my school was okay with that because they knew what was going on. But yeah, it just instances like that was very strange for me. Yeah, so I think it was around when I was 10 years old, and this person I started seeing this person more in my life, and then eventually they moved in, and I think they were officially like a partnership for like a year or two, but that broke down very quickly. She was running away from her own cases of DV from a previous partner. So, yeah, I guess things were okay for a time, and then it just turned to me not wanting to be at home, trying to stay out with my friends and family for as long as I could because I just didn't want to go home because that meant arguments and cases of broken glass, broken windows, just a very unhealthy, toxic environment that a child shouldn't live in. It definitely, I went from being very bubbly and warm to like quiet and shy and not great mental health from a young age. From the ages of 10 to 20, it was just lots of psychological abuse, financial abuse from her to my dad, because even though he was on an income pension, he was supporting our household, but also financially helping her family in the Philippines. So, I didn't know how he was balancing it. I think he was in a lot of financial debt, like taking out a second mortgage, credit cards. I just knew that his situation wasn't good, and that definitely changed. Just changed the way I viewed their relationship. Definitely not. Like a two-way. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't loving. So he had diabetes and a lot of, other conditions stem from that. So throughout my childhood, he had quite a few instances of going into hospital, surgeries, and quite a lot of ambulance call-outs to our house. So from a young age, he told me that I don't have my time is limited and you need to be ready for that. That's not a normal thing to say to a kid, and that always was in the back of my mind as well. I just didn't know how long he was going to be around for, even though I tried to be in denial about that. I thought he was going to live till I was 30 or something. But in the last case of him being in hospital, he said that his heart was on 20% capacity, and yeah, literally 2-3 days after that, he was gone because of organ failure. So yeah, that was kind of shock for me because yeah, I feel like he was kind of hiding that. Obviously, you know, dads want to protect their kids, didn't want to stress me out. But yeah, that was a very pivotal point in my life. It was the first, like obviously I had losing my mum, but I don't really remember that because I was a kid. But like being a young adult, that was a major point in my life. Yeah, I felt like I lost a rock in my life. Because, he provided for me as much as he could. I had a very good education. I went through like a private school, private high school, and to others it seems like I wasn't in poverty. Like I had, in high school I had like quite a few uniforms. I always had the resources I needed. When we had to buy a laptop, there was no hesitancy in that. Like, yeah, it just seems like we were fine to outsiders. Yeah, I feel like he was just balancing a lot of books, or just constantly trying to catch up from being in debt. So within a month of his passing, I found out that my stepmom was contesting his will, even though he didn't have much assets. It was just the house, even though she thought he had tens of thousands in a bank account. So that went on for 3 years, just due to the very slow process of like wills and estates, and unfortunately the management of his will was public trustees, and they made the process like they didn't help at all, even though I felt like that was their job. So during that time, I didn't live at my dad's house. I didn't feel like home, and it didn't feel safe, and I didn't want to live with her because I knew I would just be living in more depression with her, and that was a kind of way to escape. So I lived with relatives, family, friends for a few years, and then eventually I went back because I just felt like a huge burden to my family, friends, and I just felt like that needed to be resolved. So went back, the settlement was finalised, and I lived at that house for under a year, and things that happened while I was a teenager happened again, like the psychological abuse, the isolation from friends and family. I became very anxious and depressed, and I wasn't myself. So at one particular case of DV, where she threatened my life, I got in the car and I phoned 000, and I drove myself to ED, and I felt like I finally got the help that I needed through staying at the mental health unit. I got the right medication. I had a social worker, and they helped me get into Foy Oxford, which was another pivotal point in my life, where I finally got the support and mentorship that I needed. And just, the counselling that I needed as well. Because, young person trying to deal with the loss of her dad and many other compounding problems. Like I was always on, I wasn't working at the time, so I was on youth allowance. So even though I didn't pay rent at the places I was before, and rent was, I guess, like compounded into like utilities rent at Foyer, I still struggled day to day, like buying my food, paying for textbooks, and just trying to live life as a young adult, like still trying to have a social life. But the support I got from Foyer really changed my life. I started growing in confidence again. I developed skills in how to maintain a tenancy. I had a place that was safe, was my own, and I had mentorship to be able to, build my resume. I got into a casual employment where I could start making my own money again. And things started finally looking up while I was studying in university as well. But Dad passed when I was 20. Finally got settled when I was 23, 24. So because I didn't do well in year 12 because I was stressed about my dad being in hospital for most of that year, I got in through a different pathway, but I decided to go to university to study behavioural science, and then my first 2 years I was working casually. Things were okay at home because I was starting to make money of my own, so I guess the psych abuse toned down a bit. I chose the furthest university from home deliberately because that meant I didn't have to go, it took a while to come home. But it was, that was the conscious decision I made. And so I had to pause my studies when Dad passed for a semester, and I fell into a deep depression during that time. So I decided to slowly get back into my studies, starting from 1 unit, then 2, then 3, and then full time. Just so I had a good distraction, people to talk to. I could go somewhere else, and be somewhere else, have, some sort of different energy. It was a distraction to something that someone in her early 20s should not have been going through. More than half of my allowance went to rent, and so everything else had to be used sparingly. So there are many occasions where I didn't have breakfast, I didn't have lunch, and when I did eat, my meals were small. I was very conscious of everything I bought in terms of groceries, and meals had to be very cheap if I didn't want to cook. So not a lot of nutritional value. And when I did start working casually, that didn't really help my situation as much. Like, I was only getting a little bump up from my overall financial situation. Yeah, I was still experiencing food insecurity while I was on youth allowance, and I guess on the small working hours I was on initially when I was working casually at a retail store. 2 years, and then you can, I guess, write like a petition or like a letter to ask for more time. And usually, unless there is a huge waiting list, or usually best case they approve. So I was there for the full 2 years, and I had a great case support manager that was pretty versed in complex trauma and complex PTSD. We built my life skills that I didn't learn growing up in my toxic household, like how to cook and like what things to buy when you have to clean for a rental inspection, and employment skills, and just the encouragement and support that I wasn't getting before. I felt like it was a big weight off my shoulders. Like, I wouldn't be a burden to anyone anymore. I had a room of my own that I could make my own, and I finally had some stability in terms of housing for the first time in a while. Initially, I was, I guess, scared when my case manager started bringing up that we had to prepare for my exit, trying to find a rental property, and just being released into the world. I wasn't sure I was ready, but we started building a rental resume. I didn't get up to the stage of looking for rentals because I met my partner, and I moved in with him. I am in a very stable, happy situation at the moment, but I'm still very conscious of money. I always feel like in the back of my mind things are going to turn, like something's going to happen, and I'm going to be struggling day to day again. I feel like that will always linger with me and my experiences of poverty. I'd say when I was studying, and I remember there was a Are You OK Day at the university, and I was so depressed, and I just felt so hopeless and of my just overall situation. And I remember there was the Are You OK volunteers, and the stand on the opposite side of the street. I was on the other side, and I just walked straight past it with tears in my eyes. I didn't want, not want, but I just didn't feel like I didn't know how to access support, and at the time I was very like I kept everything inside, so I didn't want to reveal that to anyone. So yeah, limited funds in my bank account, trying to still study, and even though there was some sort of mental health support available, I just didn't feel like I was capable enough to access it. And there are a lot of times where I would just sleep like most of the day because I felt so, I just felt so depressed, and so I just felt like my situation was so hopeless. And when I would try and like encourage myself, for me it felt like as soon as you step out the door, that costs money. So like if you want to buy yourself a nice coffee, buy a book, that costs. So I just kept myself in the room. Income is a big part of it, but I guess more access to mental health, and that could mean like social connection programs, or access to a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever the person may need. I guess more access, but just more awareness of community services. I felt like I didn't know much that was around at the time, that you could have food vouchers, or all the other things that community services can provide. Like, understandably, now it is harder to access due to the cost of living crisis that is going on at the moment. But rent and mortgage relief, I guess, is a big one. Financial and I guess life support for like single parents. Parents and their kids shouldn't be punished for being in poverty out of circumstances that they can't control. Oh, definitely not. It is way below the poverty line, and it's not enough to support a young person with their day-to-day costs. For those that just have that, it's not enough. Like, if they have to live out of home due to not a safe home, or if they have to come to the city to study, it's just not enough. I feel like a lot of young people are food insecure, and a lot of young people are in poverty, and it is hidden, and it's not studied enough, and there's not enough targeted relief for young people. That needs to change. There were, I think, for 3 or 4 years, I didn't have the mental health to have the courage to send in resumes or like contact organisations. I didn't have the confidence in myself that I was capable enough to be employed. I just had no confidence, and I guess mental health was a very big thing for me, and I didn't have the support at the time to build those skills and to be encouraged to go into the workforce. And even when I was employed casually, there was a certain threshold where when you earn this much money, your allowance starts going down. So that needs to be raised, because when you do want to work, but then that threatens your allowance, you're just in a constant, distress. Especially if you want to commit to studying, commit to your studies, and if you want to if you have to go on placement, you have to always balance: do I work or do I stay on youth allowance? And there are times where people, they're very much struggling day to day due to this trying to balance that. I'd say a lot more people are struggling. It used to be just those on income support, but now this is rising to those that are working. A lot more people in two-person households, two-person income households, are accessing food relief support, and those that don't know how to access that don't eat, and they're sacrificing their health due to that. It is hard. It is hard at the moment. A lot of shame, and I guess a lot of guilt as well. A lot of internalized shame and guilt about my situation. I guess there was a sort of internal conversation with myself saying, don't access help and support because you don't deserve it. You never really know what people are going through. They can hide it so well. They can be a perfectly functioning person that is employed, studying, still contributing to society, they could be going through a lot of internal struggles through no fault of their own. Even though I just said I didn't access help because I felt like I didn't deserve it, help is out there, and even though community services are finding it tough as well, they will still try and help you as much as they can, and try and talk to a friend, a family member, try and take the load off just by talking to someone.